Hey y'all, if you're frustrated because you keep waking up in the middle of the night to pee, here are my top 3 ways to get more sleep. So let's start with a few important things just to know. Waking up to pee in the middle of the night isn't normal. And I know that could be hard to hear because it's common, but it's not normal. The only time it's normal is if you're pregnant or if you're over 65. And some of my friends that are over 65, I'll even give you once, maybe twice a night, but that's still pushing it. If you're waking up every 2 hours, every 4 hours, one, that's completely disrupting your sleep. And then two, it's not normal. So in today's video, I'll share with you 3 tips to get more sleep. Number one is drinking plenty of flat, plain water. If you follow me, then you know that flat water is something that I like to utilize and say often. Flat, plain water means it's not carbonated. There is no fizz. There's no artificial sweeteners. That's Crystal Light or any other little packets that you can add to your water. That is not plain water. So when you're talking about being hydrated, we want plain water, or else those artificial sweeteners actually make you have to pee more and make the urges stronger. So probably heard me say that what you don't do during the day catches up to you at night. And this is what I'm speaking about. If you're not drinking enough water for your body size and your activity level, then one, a lot of us try to play catch up at the end of the night. I've been there before too, where I'm like, dang, I didn't drink as much water today. So then you start chugging towards the end of the day. And some people even do that right before bedtime. That makes the urges stronger. And again, you can't make up for what you didn't do during the day in the couple hours before bed. So you want to spread it out throughout the day so that your urine is nice and diluted. Concentrated urine, meaning that you're not as hydrated or you're consuming a lot of irritants, actually makes you pee more. So avoiding drinking or drinking the things that don't keep you hydrated, all of that catches up to you at night. And that can be a reason why you're waking up and you're unable to sleep past 3 and 4 hours. Another thing that keeps you up at night is the just in cases. So these are the, let me go pee before I leave the house. Let me go pee before this movie starts. Let me go pee before I start work. All of that limits the capacity of your bladder. You're telling your bladder not to hold very much. And what happens is you become a little hypersensitive to all the urges to pee. And then that constantly happens at nighttime too, which isn't ideal. We want our bladder to be able to hold for 2 to 4 hours. That's considered normal voiding interval. So if you're going any more often than 2 hours, that's considered too frequent, whether it's during the day or at night. And then the last little tidbit is that our bladder should be sleeping when we're sleeping. It really shouldn't have to keep emptying. That's another sign of frequency. So those are a few things that we can start with, is looking at what we're drinking, making sure it's plain flat water, and trying not to chug at the end of the day, because that just keeps those urges stronger in the middle of the night when you should be resting and sleeping. Number 2 is limiting caffeine. So I know this is not an uncommon thing. A lot of people hear to limit caffeine for a multitude of reasons, but as it relates to your bladder, you've heard me say before that caffeine is an irritant. All that means is that it just makes the urges stronger and it makes you have to pee more often. So if that's a large part of what you're drinking, that's going to be a large part of why you're going to the bathroom all the time. So you not only want to limit the amount of caffeine, but you want to set some boundaries of how late in the day you're drinking it. I always like to recommend with starting with no later than 2 or 3 in the afternoon. If you're drinking caffeine past that time, you are definitely setting yourself up to wake up at night for many reasons. The longer you drink caffeine or the later you drink caffeine in the day, the longer it's going to take your body to wind down at night. So we want to make sure that we're limiting the amount of caffeine, but we also have a hard stop with the boundary as far as the time of day, because you don't want your bladder to be trying to empty in the middle of the night just because it's still a little irritated from what you did during the day. And while we're talking about irritants, don't forget that caffeine is an irritant, but it can also be found in some of the foods that we eat, like chocolate. And as a woman, I absolutely love dark chocolate too, just like a lot of other women, but chocolate has caffeine in it. So it's definitely not something you want to be eating late in the day or close to bedtime. That's not ideal, because that also can keep you up peeing in the middle of the night. My third and final tip is having an intentional release. So if you follow me, again, you know I love release and I love talking about relaxation and recovery and rest, because I honestly feel not a lot of us do it. We don't have a plan for it. We just lay in the bed and fall out because we're so tired. But we need to have a plan for intentional release as part of your nighttime routine. And if you don't have a nighttime routine, I highly recommend that you create one, because that's creating the space for the letdown for your body. Again, like I always say, you can carry a lot of tension in your pelvis, in your pelvic floor, in your entire body. So you want to have some tools to help your wind down, because part of the waking up to pee at night for some women is because of increased muscle tension, is because of that hypersensitivity that your bladder just wants to empty with every little urge. So we need to have some tools to counter that. And the intentional release is part of it. The intentional release can be physical. So diaphragmatic breathing or any form of breath work helps to relax your nervous system. It helps to release any tension in your body and, more importantly, your pelvic floor. It's utilized best when it's paired with some form of physical release for your pelvic floor. So those could be positions like cat-cow is a nice exercise. Supported butterfly pose with that type of breathing is excellent for your pelvic floor, as well as happy baby to help provide that lengthening of the pelvic floor, or that stretching and release to the pelvic floor paired with that breathing. This release can also come in the form of emotional or mental. And I like to utilize journaling as a little tidbit. Some people probably look at me like, what the heck does journaling have to do with the pelvic floor? But it is a form of release. So you can write out the things that you're worried about before bed, write out your to-do list, just write. That is a form to release those emotions from your brain to paper. And so if you're someone who wakes up with thoughts in the middle of the night, and then once you're awake, the bladder is awake, and it's like, okay, let's go pee. If that's something that you struggle with, writing out those thoughts right before bed is a very good form of release. And then if you're doing the physical release on top of that, you're definitely setting your body up again to be relaxed and not sensitive or waking up when you're not ready to. And I know I said 4 tips, but here's a little bit of a bonus that you can kind of categorize with what you're drinking or eating right before bed. So I know a lot of people like to wind down with a glass of wine, but alcohol is also another irritant that could keep you waking up at night. I've had clients tell me before, I had some drinks with friends, or I had a late dinner with my husband, and I found that those are the nights that I really just don't sleep well, or that I'm waking up to pee more often. So it doesn't mean that you can't enjoy your glass of wine, but maybe you bump it up in the evening. If you're drinking it an hour before bed, that's almost a guarantee that you're going to wake up to pee at night. And so just being strategic about how and when you're drinking these irritants can be super helpful to extend those times and those hours at night that are truly beneficial for rest and recovery, cell repair, all of the things that we need when we sleep. It's really important for that. We don't want to be interrupted to go pee, because it starts to affect how you perform in the day. So try to take a look at the things, not only what you're drinking, but at what time you're drinking. All right, those are my 3 tips for how to get more sleep and less waking up at night to pee, with a little bit of an added bonus. As always, I hope you could take away at least one thing that you can start practicing today. If any of this resonates and you want to dig a little deeper, don't forget to click the link on my page so that we can connect one-on-one. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe so that you don't miss any future videos. See you next time. Bye.